Hello to all our listeners. My name is Amir Kahani, a partner and a senior consultant at Auren, the leading international consulting firm in Israel. Auren Israel is part of an international network of offices operating in more than 70 countries and over 300 branches worldwide. As part of our podcast channel, we are excited to share with you the special podcast season that focuses on the world of business and life science and their applications. We host key and opinion people who will share with us their point of view, latest innovations and updates from the business world and the academic, research, and applied world. Today I have the honor to host Professor Levy, an associate professor and the head of neuroeconomics and neuromarketing lab at the marketing department at Solar School of Management and at the Fiscal School of Neuroscience since fall 2012. Professor Levy, thank you for taking part in this podcast.
Hi, Amir. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. In this episode, we will speak about using brain science to increase sales and marketing efficiency. But before this, Professor Levy, can you kindly share with us and give us some background about your experience?
Yes. Well, in the last 8 years, I've been a PI and a researcher at Tel Aviv University. My background is in neuroscience. I have a PhD in neurobiology. And then I went to do a postdoc at the founding father of the field of neuroeconomics, Professor Paul Glimcher at NYU. And in the last 8 years, we study in the lab the aspects of how we make decisions, what are the brain mechanisms for making decisions, and how we can use neuroscience insights and knowledge to understand how consumers purchase, how commercials can affect our decisions, and how in general can we use various understanding of neuroscience to understand the efficacy and the possible success of various marketing stimuli.
Oh, sounds good. Seems to me that we will have a lovely and very interesting podcast. So in the first episode, let's discuss about definition of neuromarketing. So, Professor Levy, actually, what is neuromarketing?
That's a very good question. So, neuromarketing, of course, is a combination of two words: neuroscience from neuro, which is understanding brain mechanisms, and marketing, of course. And I would say that this is a subfield of the general field of neuroeconomics, and it's been around. Neuromarketing has been around between 15 or 20 years, give or take. Some call it decision neuroscience or consumer neuroscience. It's all the same. And with the idea is that we want to combine our understanding of how the brain works and record various physiological and brain signals to understand what marketing stimuli would work, which marketing stimuli would have the strongest effect on consumers, and things like that. That is the general idea of neuromarketing. Now, as I see it, there are two branches of what we call neuromarketing. The first one is what we usually think of neuromarketing, which is to record brain signals while consumers are presented with marketing stimuli like websites, packages, commercials, etc., and record their brain signals and then use these brain signals to predict later what commercial would be better in the real population, or what package should the production use, which will have the best or the most efficient sales or the highest sales. The idea comes from the reason that before neuromarketing, the standard way of doing marketing research was the marketing research companies would give questionnaires or focus groups, etc. Although they still do that, but what we know from various studies is that these questionnaires or focus groups can be biased, or inaccurate. When in some cases people do not want to tell you their real preferences, or they don't know their real preferences, etc. So because of these various biases, we, not me, but the general field thought, oh, let's use some more objective measurements like neural activity in order to be able to understand and predict what is the best marketing stimuli, or what is the best commercial to use, what is the best website to use. So what we do in the field is record neural activity, use these recordings to predict the possible success of a marketing stimuli at the real population behavior, at the real world. So that's the first branch, which is usually people think about when they think about neuromarketing. But I think also there is another branch, is that we know a lot of how the brain works, just from basic neuroscience studies been the last 100 years. And what we want to do in neuromarketing, this is the second branch, is to use this knowledge and this understanding to design better stimuli for marketing, design better websites, or not design stuff that will not work, ideas and references of how to generate the best possible marketing stimuli, which is based on neuroscientific knowledge. And if we will have time, I could give several examples later. Now, an important last point that I want to make is that neuromarketing is not, the aim of neuromarketing is not to replace standard marketing research. It's not to replace questionnaires or focus groups or all other known methods. It's just an additional layer of information. So what we think is best is, yes, use questionnaires, use focus groups, but in addition, use this layer of objective physiological neural measurements to better understand the marketing stimuli and to have a better prediction of whether this marketing stimuli would succeed or not.
It sounds nice, very interesting, but I would like to take this for a different layer. My personal expertise is mainly on the sales environment. And today, as we may know, that there is no differentiation between marketing and sales. It's from my point of view, is one unit. Sales and marketing are very tight connected together, and you cannot separate them. You cannot divide them into the marketing stage and sales stage. Now, because my PhD work is on shared value creation, it is very interesting for me to ask you if you can use the neuromarketing that combine behavioral economics to define the value that the consumer is seeking for in order to be able to predict what is the best way to sell them, that includes marketing and sales as a combined method. Can you use this, your technique, to predict this in the shared value creation philosophy?
Well, that's a very hard question. But in general, what we can do is we can find neural measurements that will tell us what is the best, let's say, product or pricing or location on the shelf that will cause the consumer to have the highest value. That is, we can try various combinations of store locations, shelf locations, slogans, brand names or brand logos or websites, etc., and measure the brain activity as a response to these things. And we will, because we know how to measure the valuation, the value of that stimuli as a response in the consumer, then we can tell you what is the best value for a given stimuli. That is, we will say, oh, brand logo A is better than brand logo B, etc. Or this pricing is better than that pricing, or this package offer is better than this package offer. And now this is, of course, the price offer or the package offer is a combination of marketing and sales, right? Because the marketing people will say, oh, look at the design, how it looks, etc. And the salespeople will say, oh, how do I approach the customer? What is the tone of voice? What is the slogan? What is the actual text or how I say it to approach the customer? So each of these points could be measured. The brain can be measured of these different points. And because we know what is the valuation activity in the brain, we could tell you what is the best pricing or packaging to go with. So I hope I answered your question. But so the idea is that we can combine these different points of marketing and sales together and measure the brain activity to it, and then understand which of these points are more valuable or less valuable. And then we can change it accordingly, right? The marketing people, the sales people could vary these things, change them, and come to the best answer, the best solution.
Yes, I understand what you say, and from my experience in strategy and sales, and in sales strategy, is there is always a gap between the marketing department and the sales department. There are always fight and always argue about who should do what and so on and so on. And as you say, they should work together. And this is something that I try to put in my consultancy activity, to tell them, listen, guy, sit together, think together, because you are one unit that in the end results, the buyer, the consumer should buy from your efforts. But can you share with me some examples of using brain signals to predict marketing stimuli efficiency?
Yes, there are various studies, and also in the industry, there are neuromarketing companies who also use that. That's what they showed, is that we can give you various marketing stimuli. Let's say, for example, three different commercials that you are the publisher is thinking which one to go with. And it doesn't know because they are relatively similar, different commercials. He wants to decide which one to launch, and he gave standard questionnaires, focus group, etc. And they did not give them accurate conclusions. So what they did is they measured the brain signals for, let's say, 50 people or 100 people as a response to these commercials. And then clearly from the brain signals, one of the commercials gained or resulted in a highest activation in the value areas. And then this commercial was chosen and it was launched, and it was better, I would say it had a better effect at the population level. This has been shown for choosing cars. It was been shown for the effectiveness of smoking ad cessation. It was shown for predicting whether some campaign in Kickstarter would succeed or not, and it's been predicted about actual sales of movies in movie theaters based on seeing the movie trailers. So there is various areas or various marketing stimuli that people used, and they could predict which of the commercials or the packages is the best based on the highest activation in the value areas. That is the one field that there are many studies. Now, the other thing I think is important, or that people used to understand what is the best way to go in terms of sales or marketing, is what we call saliency maps. And this is using, well, originally it was used using eye tracking. Think about, I want to understand which design of a website is the best. And what means the best will induce the most clicks in customers, or most customer will add to cart, whatever, or increase purchases, or increase, staying on the website or whatever. And what people have done in the past is use eye tracking to look and to examine where people are looking on the screen to understand what information on the website or on the stimuli draws people's eye gazes. And we know that drawing eye gaze is basically drawing attention to that stimuli. And then if something is not working, let's say I want them to look at the brand, or I want them to look at the actual product, or I want them to look at the pricing, or the button click add to cart, and it doesn't work, then I can rearrange the website and redesign it, and at the end to maximize the things that I care about in the design, that purchase or whatever. But nowadays, what we can do is, instead of just using actual eye tracking, which is fine, it's great, you have various tools these days, but now there are computational methods that automatically, without the use of eye tracking, can predict where the customer's eyes and attention would go on the screen without even using eye tracking, just on the basis of understanding how the visual system works. And there are companies who are using that. So you can, let's say, for example, you're a company that wants to design a new website, and you are not sure where to put each button and where to put the logo, etc. What you can do, you can take this image of the website or the entire website, run it through the computational model, and immediately, after a few seconds, you will see the result of what is the areas on the screen that draws the most attention from the customers. And if these are the places you want them to look at, then you're fine. If not, you will rearrange the website and increase the potential of the customers to attend or to press whatever button or whatever action you want.
No, I can understand it, but I wonder, is there any benefit for some specific industry that can use it and get more value, or every business organization can use this method for its own benefit?
So it's a good question, but I think, first of all, almost any organization, probably there are some that are not, for sure, every business which is a B2C business, that is for sure, because you want to interact with the final customer, the end customer, and you are dealing with marketing promotions, and you're dealing with sales to end customers. So all these companies can use these neuromarketing tools to understand what will increase sales, what will increase efficacy of commercials. So I don't think it's for a specific field. Also, even if for B2B industries, also eventually you sell something to somebody, and you want to do it in the best way possible, and you can increase this efficacy of the marketing approach and the campaigns, even in a B2B business, using neuromarketing tools. I can give you some, other examples which are more basic without the need to measure either eye tracking or using saliency maps, which is the computational model of eye tracking, and without the need to measure brain signals to understand or how to increase better sales, more attention, etc. For example, people forget that people in old age have harder time to see. That's our life. That's basic physiology. When we get older, we see worse. That's basic. So, but we also know that there are specific products that are designed for old age. For example, more, pills and drugs, etc. That's, more old people use them. But for some reason, which I don't understand, if you look at the actual, a product of pills and drugs, everything is in a very, very small font size.
Yes.
Why is that? Is to make, the old people suffer on purpose? I don't know. So for example, if you have products that are aimed for old people, make the fonts bigger. That's a simple understanding of human nature and a nice example.
I can understand. We can give a lot of examples, but I would like to take this conversation one step ahead to discuss about the drawback of neuromarketing, but also if you can add some ethical issues, because basically it might sound that you are engineering your client mind, you disable his ability to choose. So it sounds there is some ethical issue, but so if you can kindly do it, it will be very, very a great opinion to do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about the drawbacks and then the ethical issue. So the drawbacks, first of all, it's pretty hard to do neuromarketing studies. You have to bring subjects in the lab, record them EEG or eye tracking. You need expertise. It takes some time. So and it also costs some money. It's easier to just ask questionnaires. So I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks, that it's costly, it takes time, and you need some expertise for that. Now, another point is that, which we don't really hear in the industry, is that still when you measure brain signals and you want to understand which commercial is better, but these two commercials are almost identical, and the difference is maybe a few seconds in the commercial where the brand is or whatever, and when the products are, or the products or the commercials are very close together or very similar together, it's very hard to differentiate them in the neural sense, in their brain activity. That means that it will be very hard for the brain signal to differentiate them and to know which one is better. So it's easy for us to know which commercial is better when they're very different. But when they are very, very similar, and this is actually what the companies want, then we have a harder time to differentiate. And this has been shown in all the studies in academia. What the industry does not tell you that what we really want to do is to differentiate between these close marketing stimuli, which are very similar. That's harder to do. Now, another point, let's say the example that I showed you, or I told you let's say I'm deciding the best website to use. The big tech companies, or the big companies that have a lot of online users, do not need neuromarketing for this. Why? Because they just do A/B testing every day. They have millions of data points in a second, and they can systematically all the time change all the buttons or whatever. And in a week or 2 weeks, they will find the best website possible. They don't need this brain activity layer to understand what is the best design or whatever. But for other companies who do not have millions and millions online customers, then of course the neuroscience or the neuromeasurement will save a lot of time of this A/B testing, which only the big companies can do. Now, regarding the ethical points, first of all, just to say out, and so people could know that we cannot read your minds, and we do not know what you think. This is just a myth. It is very hard to take brain signals and understand anything. You need sophisticated statistical models, mathematical models, to even try to understand remotely what picture you prefer better or what product you prefer better. That's about it. We cannot read your minds. So that's first of all. Second is in marketing, it's this, this claim that we are designing your mind and you become a zombie and then you go and choose whatever without your self, and you're just a robot choosing. First of all, in marketing, it's been done for always. We're trying to make our commercials better, our slogans better, to make you go and buy our product. That is the essence of marketing. The fact that we use another layer of information does not change this basic fact that this is the aim. The goal is to make us buy more. The neuromarketing companies will say, oh, no, it's not that we want to make you buy more, is that we are now could make the commercials fit better your needs, or the product would fit better your needs. Yes, okay, so you can either believe that they want to make you buy more or fit better what you need, but so I think both. And so ethically, I don't think it's very different. The neuromarketing level is different than the standard marketing research because we have the same goal. Now, even if we, understand brain science and understand your brain signal as a response to marketing stimuli, yes, we will increase the efficacy of marketing stimuli. That is the goal, for sure. And you can see that now people are probably buying more than they need. They spend more time on website than they need, and they would maybe buy stuff that they regret later more than they did before. And it's partly due to sophisticating marketing strategies, not only neuromarketing, but in general, a bigger understanding of how behavior works and how we choose. And what we know is that we increase these purchases by making you increase habits, etc. But even that said, I don't think we can make you buy stuff that you really don't want, right? For example, I'll give you an extreme example. Let's say I put on the shelf or on a website something that you hate. I don't know, something that you really, really hate. Even if I color it red and give it nice music and it will flicker and everything will be expensive around it and whatever tricks on the book you can find, I will not cause you to buy it. It's not that you wake up in the morning like a zombie, you go on the street and you pick up stuff because the big brother told you to. There is effects. There are strong effects of the media and marketing. Of course, we see that all the time. But it's not that you are not partly motivated to do that in the first place.
So actually, we return to the basic sentence that if there is no pain, there is no gain.
Yes.
In the end of the day, in the end of our story. I would like to thank you, Professor Levy. Dear listeners, we'll be happy if you will join us in our latest podcast, and we will also be happy to receive your idea and thoughts for additional podcasts in the area that interesting you. Thank you, Professor Levy.
Thank you very much. It was great being here.
Thank you and goodbye. Amir Kahani, Auren Israel.